We had a black economy before the civil rights generation. We had intact families before the civil rights generation. Most of the businesses we went to were black before the civil rights generation. They gave it all up. Most of our children were born in two-parent households before the civil rights generation. They gave it all up. And they didn't give a damn how the sons grew up. They didn't give a damn how the daughters grew up. Give me my weed, give me my sexual liberation, and give me my little job at the Ford plant, and I'm done. Completely and totally incapable of fighting white supremacy at any turn, at any angle. Totally incapable. You people screwed up everything. Most of us understood that drugs were bad for us before the civil rights generation. The civil rights generation created the interracialist culture. The civil rights generation created the bastard baby epidemic culture. The civil rights generation created the whore culture. The civil rights generation created the drug culture. The CIA just took advantage of what you already were because they could see how weak and how shallow and how hollow and how decadent you were. They could see it. They could see how phony and weak you were. And they just took advantage of the weakness that was already there. That was all they did. Nobody held you down and forced you to accept cocaine and heroin. You wanted it. And J. Edgar Hoover simply provided the product that you desired. Because he knew how weak you were. And just like Section 8, the civil rights generation created the Section 8 welfare culture. That's what you did. And now these no good, worthless bastards want us to thank them and show gratitude to them for creating this cesspool? Hell no. Completely and totally incapable of fighting white supremacy at any turn, at any angle. Totally incapable. You don't need businesses. You need to go picket these white folks and tell them, let you in! Let me in! Let me in! I want in this store. I want in this club. I want in this fraternity. Completely and totally incapable of fighting white supremacy at any turn, at any angle. Totally incapable. The civil rights generation, let me run down the list for you all right now. The civil rights generation created the bastard baby maker culture. The civil rights generation created the bastard baby culture. The civil rights generation created the drug culture. The civil rights generation created the STD culture. That's right. The civil rights generation created the herpes culture. The civil rights generation created the 3 women can sleep with 1 male culture, and it's okay. The civil rights generation created the drug culture, the heroin culture, the crack cocaine culture. The civil rights generation created that. That's their baby. The civil rights generation created the interracialist culture, the integrationist culture, the sell your soul to sit next to white folks on the toilet culture. That's what the civil rights generation created. The civil rights generation created the marching and protesting and turn the other cheek and bow before your enemies culture. The civil rights generation created the marching and protesting culture as a response to police brutality. The civil rights generation created the line up, 50 people in a line up for Air Jordan's culture. That's the civil rights generation. That was their idea of raising children. Who needed the way that Carter G. Woodson and Marcus Garvey talks about it? Who needed that? They had a better way. The civil rights generation had a better idea. Who needs civilized culture? Who needs progressive culture? Give me my weed, give me my smoke, give me my drugs. The civil rights generation created the ghetto culture as black culture. The civil rights generation changed the words ghetto and black to be synonymous. That's their cultural accomplishment. The civil rights generation created the culture vulture, invasion acceptance culture. Tina Marie and her ilk. The civil rights generation created the term honorary black people. Never met a black person who was an honorary Caucasian, but the civil rights generation will knock you over and beat you to death today to sit up here and be called an honor. If you sit up here and tell them that Bill Clinton's not an honorary black person, even though he created the 3 strikes law with his good buddy Newt Gingrich, and they made you all think they were against each other, and they were for each other the whole damn time. They were for each other and out to get you. But the civil rights generation considers being spit on by white society to be an honor. They consider wiping the feces and the saliva off of their faces to be a privilege. And they've taught the rest of you to accept that as a privilege. And I'm saying it in the terms it needs to be said in. I'm saying it just like it is. They accept that kind of treatment and they want you to accept it too. And that's why they're on your ass so hard and heavy to start bowing and scraping. And when your civil rights generation didn't give y'all a damn thing, they didn't leave you any businesses, they didn't leave you any neighborhoods that are worth a damn, they didn't leave you any property, they didn't leave you any assets, they didn't leave you any institutions, they left you nothing. They don't, and when you ask for it, they don't show up with anything. Call your parents tonight and ask them what they're passing down to you. And they got a lot of you repeating that same damn slave plantation crap talk. My parents passed down to me a good mind. If you're stupid enough to believe that emotional feelings are worth more than money, then obviously you ain't got a good mind. So that's your proof that your parents didn't give you what they told you they gave you. Obviously. Because you think kissing the ass of folk who left nothing to you somehow indicates you got a good mind. None so blind as them who will not see. And now here we are trying to create a society from scratch. Because we can't create a society from your penchant and your obsession with integration. The civil rights generation never bothered to ask, but wait a minute, what if I'm not okay with them spitting on me? The civil rights generation taught you that, you notice they don't show up for anything else at any other time. They never show up for anything that you need. They never show up for anything. When you ask about what am I being passed down, crickets, you can't find them. When you ask them where your assets are, crickets, you can't find them. But when the police gun down young black people, all of a sudden here comes the civil rights coon generation. Enter stage left. Here comes the civil rights generation to tell you, now y'all need to be good now, march, protest, sing a hymn, we shall overcome. You've been talking about overcoming for 80 damn years now. They're quick to, all of a sudden you're surrounded by the civil rights relics. All of a sudden you're surrounded by the civil rights fossils. When it's time to speak assets, you can't find them with a magnoscope. You can't find them with a microscope or a magnifier. But when the police show up, all of a sudden here come throngs of the civil rights generation to come and tell you, don't do anything. Don't say anything. You don't need businesses. You need to go picket these white folks and tell them, let you in. Let me in. Let me in.